as you do, you just gotta get chatting because we had played some of the Rasmus Andersson press conference stuff yesterday. He's, I've been proud to be here. This is where I grew up, but I got to talk, and the team's got to talk, and that sort of thing. And in some ways, you don't doubt or question that he does like it here or that he would stay. But what's the likelihood with everything that kind of goes in? And it does feel like most people are on the move on from Rasmus Andersson. Is it this summer? Is it trade deadline? But Greg was kind of, so guys, 28, he'll be 29 later this year.
30 the first year of his next and long deal.
Yeah, like does it have to be 8? What does it have to look like? What is the money on a Rasmus Andersson deal? He is coming off a year where he was minus 32 or whatever it was on this team.
Yeah.
I haven't even really put much thought to it. And Greg was like, so what's his ask going to be? Because if you're just to finish the thought is like, well, if you're for sure, well, you can't re-sign him. Well, what's the ask going to be? And I don't. Is it 9? Is it 8? What is it going to be?
It's almost the term scares me more than the dollars. I just think if you look at most defensemen's career arcs, 30 for the next 8 years. Well, a lot of those you're not even playing in the league. And your best play is almost never after 30. Now, we saw an outlier here in Giordano, but again, that is absolutely the, oh my God, this almost never happens rare case. I expect just declining play from 30 to 31 to 32 to 30. Like, you can't go pay this guy till he's 37. Like, that scares me more than the money. Like, if he wants to play for 9, I would entertain it, but the term can't be long.
Well, it's a combination. Don't break it down into what's he want?
He's going to want max term. I don't know.
Okay, so.
And I don't think the Flames will want to do max term.
To your point, though, what if it's total dollars?
It would have to be a very low number for me to be comfortable long term.
Yeah, but what's low?
I'm saying, but if it's shorter term but bigger, though, if you get to that same point.
We all get it. Yeah, like if it's 6 times 8, I'll listen. If it's 8 times 8, absolutely not.
What's your I'm only arguing just for fun. Over the last 8 years, what was the cap at 8 years ago? And how much is the cap going to go? You know what I mean? I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's not science because you don't know.
There's a pretty good pattern developing of a healthy growing cap, and we haven't seen that for a long, long time. And they just got that new Canadian TV money that's going to kick in 2 years. They're a few years away from renegotiating a U.S. TV deal. Like, the cap is going up in a big way.
That's what I mean.
And so that's why I would be okay with a number like 6 for 8 years down the road, because that's going to feel like probably 4.2 does today.
I think that's cheap as chips again. He's making 4.5 and he's dirt cheap. And I'm not arguing to sign. I don't know how to calculate that. You know better than I do, but so it's 8 times 8. Well, you're right. I don't think in 8 years he's going to be as good as he is today. But guess what? If the cap's gone up, if his percentage of cap remains the same over those 8 years, even with declining return on play, I don't know.
Yeah, his percentage of cap continues to drop as the cap grows. That's the point you're making. Yes. No, I agree. And that's built into all these negotiations now because there is such aggressive cap growth. Like, I don't think the deals we've seen for comps would have happened without significant cap growth. Like, when Neil Pionk signs for what he signed for, you're like, yeah, the cap is growing, because 2 years ago you would have said what at that number. Everyone knows the cap's going up, and that if you just want to look at a percentage of cap, if that's the way it seems simpler to you, sure, so be it. But I am very weary of locking into guys into their mid and deep 30s. I don't care who the player is. Yeah, and there are cases where guys age lightly. I don't know how to handicap Rasmus. I don't feel great about him pulling a Giordano and winning a Norris at 35.
But he doesn't have to.
So what I'm weighing that against is, it's not, do we keep Rasmus?
Echo?
36, and he's hurt when they need him the most.
Oh, come on, Ryan. You can't come on.
No, look, they need him right now. This is when you're older, you're more injury prone.
How's
that's
Tanev?
Not crazy.
Okay, Tanev,
I love a lot.
No, he's not hurt. You can't critique him, and he hasn't been hurt. And we've been waiting for him. He's playing. Is he worth it or not at 36?
They put him on Robert Isle, and the number's way lower. I'm not saying teams don't sign guys that get old. What I'm saying is a team that is so far away from a Stanley Cup, locking into a guy when they're actually going to be good, he's in the decline. That's not savvy, because the question isn't Rasmus Andersson, nothing. The question is Rasmus Andersson or what he would return in trade. Because I think Rasmus Andersson would be immensely valuable to a team like Toronto and to a team like Edmonton. And even to, like name any of these teams still playing today.
Well, Jerome was highly valuable to a team too, and you got fuck all for him.
Because you waited too long. Yeah.
And I'm arguing to argue, but it's what we've argued about all year. It's not as simple as one or the other. It's what you're going to get in return.
No, so and we don't know exactly
if the value of the return's not there, then you sign him. And I don't care if it's 8 years, as long as it's not handicapping you. And I don't think if he's insane and he wants 10 a year, okay, well, sorry, not happening.
The fear for me is, what if he's your third best right shot defenseman? Well,
so what? Because you just
spend $8 million on your third
stop.
Right,
let me finish. We get your point.
Yeah.
What would Edmonton do to have a guy like Ekholm to fill? Do you know what I mean? Even if he's in your bottom pair, if he's capable of stepping up for a 2-week or a 1 month playoff run, there is value to having guys that can play.
No question.
Right?
You don't want to pay a third pair guy $8 million though. That's the other side.
Now you don't.
Correct.
What was a third pair guy 10 years ago? 2?
$1.5 million. 2, sure.
What's a third pair guy now?
3.
3. Those numbers are going to change. And I'm not saying
it's not going to get to 8, but yeah.
No, but it might not be as far off as we imagine. And we don't know what he wants.
Nope.
And we don't know what the trade value is.
Correct. And so it's kind of comparing the blind box against the other blind box, but philosophically, you can understand the debate of okay, you do need some leaders. You don't want to pull this team apart, but you don't also want to be okay, now's the time. We've got these superstar kids coming at entry level and need to resign them. And what the hell is our third pair guy doing making $8 million for another 4 years? That scares me. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that is your fear. And it's not crazy to think that, Zane Parekh is a better right shot defenseman in a few years than him. That's not crazy. I mean, they hope he'll be that. Certainly not a guarantee, but the pedigree and where he was drafted and what we've seen him accomplish as he's come up. And, I already prefer Mackenzie Weegar to him. I like both, but if I have to pick and choose, I like Weegar. And you also don't have 9 more years of Weegar. That's what you'll be signing up with Anderson. And I also really like that Henry Muse had a great year, and Henry Brestevich is knocking on the door, and you've got Pahal as a right shot guy already. In a universe where they're closer to winning, and in a universe where the system doesn't have a bunch of righties behind them, it makes a little more sense to me to lock them up. A lot more sense. But that's not the universe they're in.
And that's your take on the universe.
Correct. Yeah. They might think they're Erasmus away from winning the cup. I still think they're 8 days in jet fuel if they get in this year.
Hope, and then something else in the other. Yeah. Neil Pionk signed 6 times 7 in Winnipeg, and I don't know I don't even know if he's a comparable, but there's a guy who signed not max term.
That would be where this has to start if I'm working for the Flames. Can't be max term. The agent's going to be in his ear saying, we can get max term July 1. And this is where it comes back to Rasmus. You've loved every minute here. How much are you willing to, right?
And how much is first place on a winning team? I thought the Flames had a hell of a year, but Pionk is playing on a team, and you can critique. That's where we always say, as players and people, winning matters.
Totally.
And you can be in Buffalo and attract players
if you're winning.
Yeah.
And so Rasmus's belief of what Craig's building is a huge ingredient here. If he's we worked our tails off. I was proud of this group, but gosh, we got a long way to go. And I don't know about these kids. He's probably walking. But if he says man, I'm seeing some of these kids, I think we can turn this quickly. That's where you get into a Pionk type situation, because Neil doesn't have to be convinced that the Jets are going to be competitive for this contract, does he?
Not at all.
Rasmus kind of does.
He's got to be convinced, but my perception of Rasmus is that he's full of confidence, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Not a criticism, and he's going to want what's due. I think
he's been on a team-friendly deal
exactly.
for
I
how
think
many?
Rasmus
5 or
is going,
6?
that's fine. I signed this deal and I appreciate the money, and it's been and I haven't complained, and I've produced.
And it's sad because in the aftermath of Tkachuk and Gaudreau leaving, we saw some emotional moves. Like immediately you lock in Huberdeau before you've seen him to huge money. It's a win for Calgary. We need to, our city needs to fight back. Like, very emotional. And so when you see a guy that does want to be here, the emotional move is like, lock him up. It's character. He wants to be here. So many guys don't want to be. He wants to be. This has to be very measured and calculated for, we can't go beyond this line or it's going to hurt our chances down the road when we hopefully are a cup contender in a new rink. And I'm not saying they can't get it done, but I do think that Rasmus has to believe in what's going on here and understand he might leave a little on the table for this to work for the Flames. Because if you have to go match the craziest July 1 offer in theory, that's not a good deal. The July 1 deals that win usually are awful deals. There's a Char out there, but it's a lot of Browers and Neals. And oh my God, you paid Zadorov what? And Lindholm got how many years? Like, that's the kind of deal you can't give Rasmus. And it's the kind of deal that's probably waiting for him July 1 of 2026.
And we'll move on just because we got time to talk about this. So is it 7 million, 8 million? I know it depends on term, but you see people in the chat, 4 to 5 years, 6 million. Like, he's not signing for 6 million.
Not a chance.
No, 4 or 5 years. No way.
He's not signing for 4 or 5 years.
And if he would, you should sign him yesterday.
It's already done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they can't wait until July 1, but yeah.
I think his ask is probably flirting with the 9.
Yes.
Why wouldn't it?
8, 9 million.
8+ max term. That's what
he considers himself a top 2 defenseman on any team in the league, and he can play 24 minutes a night, and that's the money he's going to want.
Yeah. And he's saying, look, my numbers this year, like I was gutting it out, so you didn't have to roll more Miramanov, Barry, Hanley, Bean than you did.
Easy.
Like, those numbers don't even matter. And look what the culture I've helped build. I'm not. I gave you a team deal for 5-6 years. My term to get a deal.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.